Hello everybody. This is the continuation of the development of the Wright J5 that I'm creating in Fusion 360 to 3D print of a radial engine. Now the J5 was used on the Spirit of St. Louis, and that's one reason I was asked to make this. So what I want to start with was the very first part that I drew, and essentially it was this crankcase right here, the front, that holds the cylinder. I also wanted to make sure I could draw the air box that went on the back of this, because this is back here. Well, on the bottom the carburetor is attached, and there's some equipment on the back here. This will be closed up, and actually you'll be able to see how each of these are casted in real life. But right now this is just the air box and the crankcase that holds the cylinders. This took me a total of 2 nights of about an hour and a half each to draw this far. The next part that I did was I needed to create this front ring here that holds the push rods for the valves. Okay, I mean for the push rods that go to the rocker arms for the valves. Now I'm not going to do rocker arms or any of that. I'll just have the rocker housing. So right now that's where I've got this drawn at that stage, and there it is with the air box. The next thing I did was create this front ring right here. The reason I left these holes in here is I'm going to put 256 studs and nuts in this to make it look like real ones. I didn't want to 3D print that, because even though it would look cool, it will look much better having actual studs and nuts on it. Okay. Then the next part I had to draw was this part here that holds the 2 magnetos for the engine. Now, one of the things when I drew this is that I actually drew it in halves like this, and then I mirrored it. But this isn't the way I'm going to set it up to 3D print. The way that I'm going to set it up to 3D print is like this. I combine the whole thing together as one part, and then I split it right down the middle here. So I've got a top half and a bottom half. This will be much easier to print accurately, and my acetone vapor bath will make all the lines go away better, and it'll just look a lot better. And then on the very front of that is the part that actually held the bearing on the real engine. And that part there is the last of the crankcase. But what I want to do here is show how I know if this is going to 3D print right. So what I do now is I'm going to take these parts here, hit make, and now I've got to go find desktop. Need to find current projects, Wright, Fusion, STL, and I'm just going to drop that. Now normally I'll name these the parts, but at this phase of the design I hadn't started naming all the parts yet. Okay, and that let's see, then I'm going to print this part here, which is 5. So now we've got 5 and 6 drawn. So now I'm going to go over to my other screen for a minute and verify they're in the folder, and they are. Now I'm going to open up my Simplify 3D. Now I'm going to drag the 2 parts into here. Now right now this is half the size that it's going to be when I go to print it as a 1/4 scale. Right now I drew it as 8 scale. The one reason I do that is because I have a library I created of some bolts and nuts and everything that I designed for an 8 scale, so I will scale this up to 1/4 scale. But right now I'm going to lay these flat the way they're going to print. Whoops, I did that wrong. So as you can see, that's going to look really cool when it prints up off my bed. Same thing over here. But now I'm going to go over to the left and figure out how I'm going to print this. I want this to be really accurate. So I'm going to use a 4mm nozzle. And I actually have a 3mm nozzle coming. Hopefully it'll be here tonight, which is the 3rd of July. So I can play with it over the 4th, 5th, and 6th that I took off. And you can open this up. And right here I can look and see how much fill I want in the object. I can look at my layer thickness, which on this is too thick right now, so I'm going to set that to 2.0. I also make that little mark up here, note up here to make sure. I know I'm printing this at 230C, and this looks good. Now I'm going to slice it. And this is what it will look like when it's being made on my bed. So basically here, you see that I only had, I think, if I remember right, 15% fill in it, because I want to keep these parts light. But that looks like it will print absolutely perfect. So what I would do now is then export this, and I would then do a test print and see if these parts really turned out that good. So what I want to do though is I want to get rid of these. I'm going to go back over to my software here, and I want to let's see, I'm going to print some other parts here so you can see what they will look like on the table. So I'm going to hit make, and I'm going to do the air box, which I have named that already. I'm going to do this part here, hit OK, and do this part here. Okay, whoops, it says I got a body 1. I must have already hit print on that one. Well, we'll find out. And then we're going to make this one. Same body 1, so I'm just going to call this front crank, FC for front crank. I've already exported those, so that should be all my parts. I don't think that was called number 1, was it? Oh, it was 1, so this is crankcase. Okay, so now what I'll do is close this, and I'm going to grab these parts here, dump them here. Okay, I already looked at those. Lay that down flat. I'm going to grab the crankcase now. I'm going to lay it down flat. It's Control L, if you don't know that, for your Simplify to make it lay down flat on the bed. And then I'm going to bring the air box in. And arrange them. Now, I would never print all 3 of these together because this can print here without any support. These right here I would most likely print with support because this would get a little bit wonky in the middle. But I might, since I've got all this laying so flat, I might try to print all of this without support. And I can go, oh wow, okay, I do have support on. See, that was all, that has to have support or the middle wouldn't hold up, but the program realized I didn't need any support here. So I would print these as separate parts because I don't know, I don't want this one to fail and cause these two to be bad. I don't really, once I see a print start to fail, which I very rarely have a print fail, but this is the support that would hold up the center of this because something has to hold that up. Excuse me. So hopefully this gives you an idea of what it takes to print this up to this stage. But I think that looks pretty cool, and I think this is going to be a really exciting project. Oh, I did want to see what that other front looked like. So hang on a minute. Just show everybody what it would look like. So this would be the front. Control L. I also want to show you one thing about detail real quick before I say goodbye to y'all. If you notice here what this looks like, this is actually showing exactly what the filament will look like extruded. It shows that this circle starts and stops. If you are under extruding at all, you're going to see these lines really, really well. Okay, if you're extruding perfectly, this will look almost perfectly flat. You'll see the 3 grains, but you won't see any definition between them. So as this prints, hang on a minute. Okay, as these layers print, you get an idea of how it's laying down each of the layers of filament and how it's being built. Okay, so I hope you enjoy my videos. I hope this is informative. I'm going to do probably 4 more videos on the design of this before I start doing videos on the printing, because I'm going to hopefully by this Saturday start printing some parts. I've got to leave Sunday for work, but hopefully we'll get this moving right along. So thanks everybody. I love all the emails and appreciate all my viewers watching my videos, and I hope you're learning something. Have a great day everybody. Be safe.